Welcome to the Grandpa Channel, where stories don't fade, they get recorded. I'm Steve Harris. My grandkids call me Rivers. This podcast is where grandpas and grandchildren pull up a chair, turn on a mic, and let her rip. Grandpa stories are chock full of wisdom, life lessons, and frankly, funny as hell. Your stories are the magic elixir to help your grandkids navigate Mr. Toad's wild ride, aka life. Let's Grandpa. Listen up, grandpas. Have you actually pulled the trigger on recording your life story? I'm talking video, baby. They want to remember your corny jokes, your crooked smile, your rugged good looks, and the jaunty bounce of your voice. What if I told you there was a really easy way to do this? Recently, I sat down and I told my life story on video. Not the whole thing, but the good stuff, the messy stuff, the funny stuff, the parts I didn't want to forget and the parts that I did not want my kids and my grandkids to forget. Planted Media made it so easy. They came to me, set up everything, and then they did some editing voodoo magic that made me look like $1 million. Go to plantedmediaco.com and tell them Rivers sent you, and you'll get a nice little Grandpa Channel discount. All right, back to the show. Welcome to the Grandpa Channel. I'm Steve, but my grandkids call me Rivers. And we have a wonderful guest here today, Katherine Schlaerth. And she is a physician down in California. And I think she has some really wonderful things to say and to hints to give to us grandpas as we try to up-level our game. First of all, Katherine, give us a little bit of information about your family and number of grandkids and all that sort of fun stuff.
Okay. Well, my husband and I are both physicians. He's a gynecologic oncologist. I'm a pediatric geriatrician and family physician. And we have 7 children and 21 grandchildren, and more boys than girls in the children area, but more girls and boys in the grandkids area.
Well, that's cool. She's also a published author. I want you to hold up your book and show us and tell us a little bit about the book.
This is called The Ways Our Bodies Age. I discovered that many of my patients, and I do work with a lot of non-English speaking patients who are elderly, who have had very little education because of the countries from which they've come. And I've discovered that they really don't know how their body works. Mm-hmm. And you can't learn that by reading a medical book. The terms are too long and too confusing. And so I wanted to teach about the way the body worked by talking about people's stories, usually collective stories, because we have to worry about HIPAA regulations and so forth in medicine, because it's easier to learn about things like why foods don't taste the same as you get older by learning about somebody else who had this problem, how she or he dealt with that problem so that a good diet could be.
And I think that's something that we'll explore is how better health could help us become better grandpas or make us absolutely available for our grandkids. I neglected to invite our guest in the background. Can you tell us what you have in back of you?
That's Bones.
Bones,
yes. I'm at work and I'm sitting in a mutual office, and he is a gift from one of the physicians with whom I work because we like to have him around. We're not sure it's a he, it might be a she.
Yeah.
Because he or she is plastic. And we kind of try to include Bones when we can, especially at Halloween.
Tell me some of the things that maybe come to your mind of how grandpas can improve their health that will help them to become better grandpas.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, and this goes for grandmas as well as grandpas, is that exercise is a very important facet of growing older. And people who exercise tend to retain the ability to have their grandkids climb all over them, which happens, as everyone knows, or to go on hikes with their grandkids, to take them hunting, to take them fishing, a lot longer than people who are couch potatoes. Mm-hmm. And they're less likely to get heart attacks and cancer and all those bad things that we don't want grandpas to have. So exercise and eating well is very important, but it takes some effort because you'd rather sit in front of the TV and watch a good sports game. You got to really push yourself to get up out of that chair, and it hurts to get up out of that chair, and, to figure out where you're going to walk. And so it demands motivation, but I think grandkids are great motivators.
They are. And I think that most grandfathers would love to roughhouse and play if they felt like if they did it, they wouldn't get hurt. Not intentionally, of course, but I think we want to engage, with our grandchildren and do things with them. What other things besides exercise and diet that might be helpful, do you think, to grandpas?
Grandkids love hearing grandpa's stories. If grandpa is a great sports advocate, the grandkids, the girls as well as the boys, are going to be great sports advocates. In our family, it happens to be somewhat baseball, but mostly football. And the grandkids just love football season, especially since with our 7 kids, they've gone to, because most of them have a master's or doctorates too, they've gone to most every big school in the country. I think we paid more tuition bills than I would even think about. So it becomes very fun because UCLA is playing with USC.
Yeah.
Kyle is playing with, you name it. And there's a game everybody can get involved in. And because people have done to different schools, it gets really energetic. So having an interest that you can share with your grandchildren, a sports interest, a fishing interest, an interest in carving, an interest in crossword puzzles is very, very important. And it gives children and grandchildren a lifelong subject to pursue. And they do that. Enthusiasm on the part of a grandfather for his particular interest really spills over into the grandchildren. That transfer of interest and enthusiasm is something that will live with a grandchild forever. Yeah. And it can be stamp collecting. It can be anything. But if the grandfather is enthusiastic about it, it's going to spread, and it's going to give the child a lifelong interest because grandpa did it and grandpa told him all about it.
I like that a lot. And I think that was the case with me. And I think it's been the case with my kids, especially my sons. I've got 4 sons, and we avidly follow the University of Utah, their football and basketball teams. I just knew that spending time with my dad up at the stadium watching basketball or football, having a Coke and a hot dog, it just brings back wonderful.
It's heaven, yeah.
It is. So tell me, what are some of the things that you do? Both of you would have probably limited amount of time as physicians and doctors and everything. How have you managed to create these kind of hobby areas or areas of interest?
We try to have dedicated time because we have more boys than girls. And I think a good dad is going to make a good grandpa. I think that flows. So my husband really did a lot of games, going to USC games, going to UCLA games, etc. That's where we live. And sometimes it was basketball, and sometimes it was baseball, and most of the time it was football.
Yeah.
And he would buy the kids the sweatshirts with whatever team they wanted to, and they'd wear them proudly all the time till they fell apart.
Yeah.
The other thing he did was hunting, and the kids learned how to shoot and learned the safety issues with the use of guns. And that was very important for my husband. You needed to teach a child how to deal with firearms in a safe and good manner. And so that was something he always stressed. And firearm safety was very important. But getting out there, didn't matter if you shot anything. Getting out there and being in the autumn mountains and everything, that was joy.
And there's wonderful joy there. By the way, we have particularly beautiful falls here in Utah. And even now into November, it's still very, very pretty. We're starting to, almost all the leaves are off the trees, but it was a beautiful fall. There's nothing quite like being in the outdoors with your kids and your grandkids.
It's a special time. It really is. And I know Utah is beautiful. We have some of my coworkers are from Utah and kind of have this desire to go back. But we tell them, you got to stay here. We need you. And my oldest grandson actually worked in Utah, one of his first jobs.
Did he work at a ski resort or?
He's an engineer.
Oh, an engineer. Okay. Yeah.
Now he's in Texas being an engineer.
Yeah. Where are your grandkids and kids located these days?
All over the place. New York, Maryland, Texas, most in Southern California, but actually all over the place.
How do you plan? What are some of the things that you do to plan to be together as a family?
One of the things I think is very important is we write letters. We try and write letters every week or two. We don't care if the kids throw the letters out, but there's a certain excitement in getting your own letter with a stamp on it. So we do that. And that's a way of communicating and kind of finding out what's up with them. We had a grandson who went to a new school as a freshman in high school, and he became the quarterback in the new school.
Yeah.
Wasn't a very big school, but he was the quarterback, and that was a very exciting time for him. So we can learn about daily games through the letters. And so each grandchild is kind of special. So my husband makes a special effort to kind of understand what each child likes or is interested in so that that can be kind of addressed.
It sounds like you have a husband who's a terrific grandpa.
Oh, I think it's terrific. Yes. I think the kids do too.
Did he learn that from his father, or did he just pick it up on his own?
His father was a very kindly man. And I think probably that just genuine decency, that was something he inherited from his father. His love of fishing and hunting probably was his own idiopathic thing, but he transferred his love of crossword puzzles to one of our grandsons, who now is a crossword puzzle nut in the 8th grade.
Now, I had heard that you got these, what did you say it was 21 grandchildren?
Yeah, we just had the last one. Not, hopefully not the last one, but the last one that we had.
And then, do you have some that are biracial?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about Pat. I'm curious because I have a grandson who's half black and half white. We adopted him, and he has the finest afro, Catherine, on the Wasatch Front. He's an amazing kid. He's 6 going on 7, big personality, and we just love him to death. But I'd be curious to hear kind of your ideas and experiences with biracial grandchildren.
Well, as you know, in Southern California, biracial grandchildren are probably the norm and not the exception. And it gives us more of holidays to celebrate.
Yeah.
Because we try and incorporate whatever history or holidays are evoked by whatever country is the origin. And all of the grandchildren born in this country, of course. We try and be very careful to kind of add that to our particular interests and ceremonies, and we celebrate those holidays as well. And that gives you a whole lot of holidays to celebrate.
Yeah.
We have grandchildren who are half Chinese American, grandchildren who are half Korean American, grandchildren who are half Hungarian American, and then those who have been in the country for generations, Italian Americans, the Swedish Americans, and so forth. We very much encourage the children whose parents speak another language in addition to English to learn that language. We really want them to know Korean or Hungarian or whatever, because it helps their brains expand. It gives them new vistas to kind of enjoy. I think it's very enriching, because if you teach a language to a child when he's 1 or 2, that child is going to get the accent correctly. He's going to get the words correctly. And so we just think it's a wonderful venue to add to your kind of personal profile. And we strongly encourage that.
Is your husband, is he practicing medicine now too?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So you've got probably 2 very demanding schedules. How do you make time, and how do you make time to be with your grandkids and make time for a family celebration?
Rituals. And my husband is very big on rituals. And I think many grandfathers are. The ritual, for example, of Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Easter is a time when the whole family who are available gets together and goes out to Easter brunch after going to church. So this is the This has been done since the oldest ones were little babies. And it's an expected thing that everybody, as a family, goes out to brunch after going to church. And that's a ritual that is inculcated in the children. Thanksgiving, usually I cook, which means I don't talk much with anybody, just cook, because last year it was 37 and, 3 turkeys, whatever.
No. How big a family do you come from, Catherine?
I had 4 brothers.
Did you? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you had the bully pulpit, which you do, what kind of advice comes to your mind of what you would say to all of the grandpas out there, but not only all the grandpas, but all the future budding grandpas? You could have a young family, and I can testify that time goes very, very quick.
Very quickly, yes, respectively.
What would you tell them?
I think having a father who's involved in your life in whatever way is so critical to the development of, in a boy, masculine traits and just general kindness and a sense of leadership and interests that might serve as your vocation in the future. So having that father is crucial for guys. It's also been shown to be crucial for daughters as well, because having a father who is interested in your activities, whatever they are. We have one granddaughter who's really a star baseball player, and her father is very interested in making sure she develops that skill. That will give girls more of a sense of independence and power to do the things that they want to do. So that father is just pivotal. I mean, mothers take care of the infancy and the breastfeeding and all of that. But once you get to be preteen or a teenager, it's the dad's show.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh.
And that continues forever.
Yeah. My father, who was a terrific grandfather, by the way, and a wonderful dad, but he was also the son of an alcoholic. So he came from a very chaotic background himself. And he was, when he was 70 and I was 40, he came up to me and he said, Steve, he said, I do more parenting now than I did when you guys were little kids at home. And my initial reaction, Catherine, was, oh, yeah, right. That's a load of crap. But I have found that I'm 70 now. I have found that that's been true. And
Oh, you're right. Absolutely right.
Dad was right, as much as I don't want to admit it. Yeah. But I think that I really enjoy being a father, and I really enjoy being a grandfather, but I feel stretched, as I think that's how it's supposed to be. I have some real strong points, and I have some not so strong points. Let me ask you this question. If I asked you, what do you think your husband's superpower is as a grandpa? What would you say?
I could tell you that I think he's the best surgeon in the world, but that's not a superpower that has to do with being a grandfather.
It's hard to have, though.
I think he looks at each child as an individual, and he tries to learn what that child needs from him, and also really spreads his own interests if the child is interested, so that the child develops a sense that grandpa's interested in this, it must be important, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of transferring to the grandchildren a sense of excitement and interest that will probably stay with that child lifelong. He's very sensitive to their needs, and he always tries to include everybody, which can sometimes be a bit hard, especially if there's a whole mob of them. So, yes, he's an excellent grandfather, and I can see it because his sons are role modeling what he did.
It's remarkable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 Sometimes they role model things that you don't want them to role. I had trouble with a couple of not the milder swear words. I wish I could tell you I've never sworn, but sometimes that comes out, and I'm not particularly proud of that anyway.
But you live in Southern California, and you have to be on the freeways in Southern California, and it's well known that not swearing is unheard of in Southern California.
That makes me feel a little bit better. What has surprised you and your husband about being grandparents?
I think for my husband, seeing the personalities of some of the grandsons being very closely allied to the things that he likes and does has been a surprise for him. Now, some of them are very different, but some of them think a lot like he does, and he's kind of surprised that genetically this happened.
Yeah. I guess in some ways we're genetically, or at least from a DNA standpoint, you could make an argument that we are our ancestors, whether we know it or not, for better or worse. And for the most part, it's for the better. I see things, for instance, in my grandkids that I say, oh, that reminds me of my wife, or that reminds me of my mom or my dad. And, it's kind of fun. It's a journey of discovery to find out all of these things as they kind of have unfold over time.
Yes.
I'll tell you one surprise that I've seen, and I'd like to hear your comments on this, is I've been shocked at how much fun my grandkids have with each other, with their cousins.
Yes.
Oh
yes. Oh, that's a very good point.
So do you
Absolutely.
find that with your family too?
Yes. In fact, having cousins with whom you could have fun or talk to and so forth becomes crucial. We need that family structure. We work with a lot of physicians from other countries, and they have it. They have that family structure when you speak with them. And we've kind of lost it in this country to a certain extent. But we try and we had cousins camp a couple of summers when the children who are nearly the same age would all come and sleep on the floor in our house.
Yeah.
And we took off some time in about a week. We try and get everybody together for Christmas and so forth. But we have found that our older grandchildren, the ones who are in their early 20s, even if they're far away, will make an effort to see their cousins.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
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 Great.
Yeah.
And they help each other because they're cousins and because they've grown up together. So very, very important. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because you're up to one, right?
It shocked me, Catherine, because I'm the oldest grandchild on my mom's side. I thought my other cousins were sort of pains in the butt because I was older and too cool for school. And then I found out later that they were very, very close. And then I found out that they're wonderful people. And I kind of missed out on a couple of things because I was just a surly teenager. And so, but I don't want that to happen with my grandkids. Let me ask you this question, and maybe it's open for both grandmothers and grandfathers, but I think grandfathers have a particularly heavy responsibility. We live in a really, really crazy world.
Oh, yeah.
Bad things happening left and right. And what's the best way that we can, as grandparents, and maybe you can speak on behalf of your husband, how can we be a fountain of peace to our grandchildren in times of real upheaval and trouble?
Well, I will mention that religion has been a focus in our family, and I think that's true no matter your religion, because it is a fount of peace, generally speaking. I think seeing the father go to church, synagogue, temple, wherever, is a very strong point in terms of giving some stability. But that's kind of a weekend thing, and shouldn't be, but it is. But I think knowing that the grandfather is a strong person who is absolutely on their side, no matter what, and knowing that the family is behind, because the father is the leader of the family. I know you shouldn't say that, but I'm saying it.
I happen
It's
to
true.
agree with you.
Yeah. And the grandfather is a strong person. It doesn't matter that he's 70 or 110 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who created and guided this entire enterprise and keeps the family together by dint of his authority. I'm going to get killed by the liberals, but whatever. But I think that sense of strength, even as people do get older, is always with the grandchildren. It's always, there's grandpa, he's always there. He's always been on our side.
He's steady.
Yes. And he got through all this, and I'll get through all this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is very important.
In our family, the faith is a huge deal too. And I guess just talking generally too, how do you and your husband share your faith with your grandkids? Any wonderful hints for grandparents?
I think it's always the father has to go to church, synagogue, temple, whatever it is. If the grandchildren see grandpa doing that, sees the celebration of important religious holidays, whatever they are, they see that this is something that is very important for the grandfather, and that leading by visual command becomes very important to the grandchildren. This is what I want to be like when I'm older, when I'm a father, when I'm a grandfather. Because children do incorporate this into their...
You.
Yeah, they do.
They don't always perpetuate it, or they don't always march, on the path. But my theory is eventually they'll come back.
Oh, they do. They do. Just give them long enough life and they'll come back. They can fall off the tracks a little bit.
Yeah.
But the seeds that were implanted in childhood by the father, they're not going to ever go away, I don't think. They are going to come to fruition at some point in the child's life.
Now, you have painted, I got to tell you, you have painted a wonderful picture of your husband. I'm really curious how the two of you met.
That's a very interesting story. We were in medical school together, and we had a child who came in with hemophilia one night, and we were very sleepy because you have a lot of on-call stuff in medical school. And this child's parents left him in the hospital alone with a hugely swollen elbow in a great deal of pain. And my husband sat by him and talked with him. This is when we were just casually dating. And then it was time for my husband to go off. His shift was finished midnight. But the child became very concerned and started crying. And my husband stayed up with him all night till the medications began to work. And they were relatively primitive in those days. But that child didn't want him to leave and my husband didn't want to get some sleep, but he didn't go because that child's pain was so very evident. And it was psychological pain as well. And I figured, you know what? This guy's a good guy.
This guy's
this guy is good.
Yeah.
And that's what,
wonderful.
Yeah, it really did. And he's been that way forever with his patients too.
How many years have you been married, Katherine?
I have figured out now mathematically 57, 58. We married in medical school.
Wow. That's crazy.
We keep track of the anniversaries, but I always have to do the math.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the grandfathers out here who are watching this podcast, maybe along the lines of, from a health standpoint? We talked about diet and exercise, but I'd like you to go full-on doctor and maybe even start wagging your finger at us to give them a pep talk about wanting to have more fitness in their life and better health so they can be better
Don't smoke, drink, or do marijuana in front of your grandchildren. Preferably not at all.
Yeah.
And the exercise is a big thing. And make sure, if your wife is a good cook and she makes sure you get lots of veggies and chicken and fish, that you eat them, even if they don't taste as good as they did when you were 25.
Yeah.
But maintain interest in social connections too. That's very, very important. Those social connections, and they can be within your family, strengthen you and give you motivation. And your interests are going to be transferred to the downstream to your descendants. So those things are very important. And if you have a really strong interest, well, pursue it. Do that, because that example of persistence and interest and joy in a hobby or whatever you're doing will be transferred to your grandchildren. And it may not seem like that when they're teenagers or when they're 2 or 3 years old. You're wondering if they care about you at all, but they do. They see you. And so at every stage of their lives, don't think that you're not contributing to their growth and their development, because even if they seem like they don't care at all about you, especially when they're teenagers, they do. They're watching you. You gotta be the stalwart unchanging, always protective, and always interested figure in their lives. And a responsibility, it really is.
Yeah.
You know?
I just want you to know that I have been genuinely blessed by listening to your eloquent answers to my winding questions. I'm really happy.
Oh, I like to talk.
Well, and I love to listen to people tell me what they've learned and how your specialties of knowledge and training, how that all kind of interacts. And so I'm so grateful, Katherine, that you would come on our humble little podcast. And so thank you very much.
Oh, well, I think that living gives everybody wisdom. And sometimes I've patients who were construction workers or operated a machine or whatever, and they're older and they have that wisdom. It's, it's fine to learn things from a book and to do them, but there's an innate wisdom, I think, just in living and caring for a family that grandfathers have and retain and should be transferred to. But thank you for having me on your program. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. So thanks so much. I hope that life continues to be good for you as you work in Bakersfield, but you live in L.A., in greater L.A.
Well, I swear in the traffic.
What kind of a commute are you looking at from where you live to Bakersfield?
Well, it's 2 hours over the mountains, and if we have fires or if it's snowing, it's an interesting commute. But we get a chance to see the kids on the other side of the mountain when work there.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it. And, I feel that you are a lucky woman to have this wonderful husband and father of your children and grandfather of your grandchildren.
If I may say so, God has really blessed me.
That's it for today's episode of the Grandpa Channel. Leave a review, share it with a friend, or better yet, tell your favorite grandpa. We're on a mission to gather 1 million grandpas, storytellers, wisdom keepers, and lovable wild cards. Until next time, keep the mic hot, the memories fresh, and the jokes just slightly inappropriate. I'm out of here.